A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, it's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome back Ekta Kaur Ross. Welcome, Ekta.
Hello everyone.
It's so lovely to see you, and thank you for coming back and coming to answer some great questions that we've been having on our Facebook groups, and we've been discussing lots of different things around homeopathy. And I just thought it's just such a wonderful opportunity for us actually to have a conversation about some of the more difficult questions that were asked. Are you up for this?
Yes, let's see how we get on.
All right, let's have a look. So the first question I thought was a really interesting question because I think there are a whole variety of answers. So this is going to lead to a really good conversation. So please help me understand this. My homeopath wants me to take a remedy made from the medicines that I've been trying to wean off because I'm getting extreme withdrawal symptoms. Now, I've heard of others doing this as well. So can you explain to me more about that? So let's talk about homeopathy made from some of the medicines, either that we're taking, we're weaning off, or we have taken in the past. Why would we do this? What's going on? Where should we start, Ekta?
I mean, this is really a fascinating topic because when I came out of college, I didn't have the mindset that I would ever go into this part of homeopathy. And then over the years, it's been brilliant because why not? Why not help somebody still using the homeopathic principles? So the substance this time, instead of something from around nature around us, it's within their body. So it's within the nature of their body that they're taking this medication, and then make a homeopathic remedy out of that medication, and then go through the process. So
let's just go back a step so we're understanding exactly what we mean by this. So usually homeopathy is using a substance that produces symptoms like versus like. So we'll produce the symptoms that is like the symptoms that you're experiencing. But using the actual medicine or the actual whatever it is that's inside your body is actually not like, it is the substance. So, but what we're saying is we're going to use all of the homeopathic principles, the way that we make a medicine, a remedy, so that it's ultra diluted, it's succussed, it's done in exactly the same way, but it is the actual substance that is creating those actual symptoms. And so for something like this, where we know what the cause is of those symptoms, and we know that the body has been reacting while it's had the medication, and that the withdrawal is obviously causing the new symptoms to occur, why would we give that remedy in potency? What are we actually wanting to achieve?
So it's like what you said, the like cures like. So this medication is causing a bunch of symptoms.
Yeah.
It's no different to the Cinchona bark that this whole homeopathy started. The Cinchona bark created what we think of as malarial symptoms, symptoms of malaria, in somebody who is well. And when we give the cinchona bark to somebody who's expressing those symptoms, their body, their immune system responds to our homeopathic remedy and clears those symptoms. So in that very same way, so instead of a cinchona bark, we are giving them the allopathic medication, let's call it medicine A, which is causing a bunch of symptoms.
Yeah.
Now, they happen to be the side effects of medicine A, but they are causing these bunch of symptoms. The patient is expressing these symptoms. So like cures like.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's working in exactly the same way. And obviously this person now is trying to withdraw from the medication. And actually, I see this a lot in melatonin. I don't know whether you do as well. People have tried melatonin and find it very, very difficult to come off. So they want something to help them through that transition. And of course, a homeopathic version is a wonderful solution, isn't it?
Definitely, because we will then take that medication and dilute it, as you said, succuss it, and it dilutes to such an extent that you're left with the essence of that substance, medicine A, an energized essence of medicine A. So when you're now taking it, it's not in its crude form. No. So it cannot cause those side effects. It's working at a very, I always say, I use my hands. There's the crude form here, and there's the energized essence version. There's no interference.
And so what we're actually saying is the body is used to having this medicine. We can give it in an energized form, but without any of the original substance left in there.
Any of the crude substance that was causing the chemical interactions in your body that cause the side effects.
Okay, so it's really important as well to note that if somebody is withdrawing from a symptom, it's quite often because the medicine has been provided for the body artificially for a number of months or a number of years, whatever that may be, and now the body needs to be stimulated again to act where it didn't need to act perhaps before because it had an artificial influence. So would you agree that whenever we do this, we would want to be looking at organ support remedies and something to support the remedy through this, support the body, through this transitional period?
Absolutely. So when you do this kind of prescribing, I always provide organ support, because the body almost becomes lazy when it has chemical induced support, which we take from allopathic drugs, and it becomes lazy, it becomes dormant. Those organs, work less as what they're originally intended to, because there is this artificial environment that has been provided. So yes, the organs will need to wake up, and in a nice, gentle manner. So there is, the disturbances that are now occurring. We want to make the patient comfortable. At the end of the day, it's quality of life. So yes, provide organ support to wake up this dormant organ and for it to start working efficiently.
So let me just explain here. By allopathic medicines, you're talking about normal Western medicines as opposed to homeopathic remedies. And when a Western medicine is given, it is an artificial, it is giving the body a finished product effectively. So therefore, the organ that would usually be producing that might not have been producing it for a number of years. And that's why we need to stimulate the organ again. So really, really interesting. So what we're talking about now then is that we need to perhaps be giving the medication in potency. We need to be giving an organ support remedy. What else might we need to know?
Also, there is this another consideration, that you prescribe to the symptoms that the patient is expressing. So you may want to consider remedies that match what their symptoms are at this moment in time. So those symptoms may be a consequence of side effects of medicine A, which I refer to as the allopathic drug that you were taking. But they are the symptoms you're feeling. They're the symptoms you're expressing. So, you may want to now also consider prescribing a homeopathic remedy that matches those symptoms.
Okay. So what we've got now is a collection of remedies, isn't it? And we're looking at different ways of putting together a collection of remedies. Now, obviously, classically trained homeopaths will start by introducing one remedy and then another remedy. But you can soon see how life has evolved so much over the last, I don't know how many years, that we are going to be looking at the different areas, because also it might be that a constitutional remedy is needed if those symptoms are very emotional and hormonal and bringing about lots of emotion, basically changes in emotion as well. So there might be lots of different areas that need to be considered. And so therefore, just as always in homeopathy, what is your whole symptom picture is what we're expressing. So I think this is a very poignant area for us to mention now. What is the difference between trying to do this on your own or working with a homeopath? Because quite often in groups, people will ask a question and the answer will be, oh, you need to see a homeopath. So let's just address this with this complex question now. Why would you need to see a homeopath?
Yeah, so I mean, something like this, I can't even think of a person self-prescribing. This is something to be done with a professional homeopath who has had the training, usually the many years of training, and then we have the access to all our resources, our professional resources. So this is not something to be encouraged for self-prescribing. You will express your symptoms. You'll need adjustment to your dose depending on how responsive you are. I use the word responsive nowadays, and I don't use the word sensitive because people didn't like that word. I'm not sensitive, they'd say. So the idea is it's really about how sensitive you are to the dosing or how responsive you are to the dosing. And that will need adjusting, because in my clinic, I don't believe in that pain gain philosophy. So mine is always about minimal, disruption to your quality of life. So I would adjust doses to be as gentle as I possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to understand as well that coming in from an outside, you're coming in with a very unprejudiced point of view. Whereas when we look at ourselves, like you said, somebody doesn't like the word sensitive. It's a very prejudiced point of view about yourself. And there are lots of things that you won't see because you're too close to it. And somebody knows where to direct questions. But also, I think it's worth mentioning that the 4 or 5 years training that a homeopath has includes all about the body, all about physiology, all about disease, all about many different aspects of the human body, of medications, of remedies. It's not all about matching symptoms to remedies and just learning about the remedies. there's a lot more that goes into the training of a homeopath.
Yeah, and also with remedies, I find that very interesting with self-prescribing, because people, remedies are very interesting, and there's several layers. And when you're prescribing as a professional homeopath, you're looking at all the remedy information. Whereas what I find with self-prescribers is they will look at it there and say, well, I'm not that. But do they understand that remedies can express opposites
Yes.
to the norm? Do they? So when we prescribe with remedies, it's almost like a nuance. There is something that shouts out to me about that patient because they've said things in a certain way, and that remedy really matches them well, even though they might not have the headaches and the sun that is written in the remedy description. But the fact that they're holding on and harboring this deep level of injustice points me to that remedy.
Yes.
So all this can't be explained in self-prescribing, within a minute and 30 seconds of deciding what I'm going to have.
So what you're actually saying is a homeopath is taking the symptoms, it's taking the way that you're responsive to everything around you as well as the remedies, but also we are listening to what is being said. We are listening to where the energy is, and we are also observing how you are and how you are interacting. So we have to put together the whole of you in order to match a remedy. And when it is you looking in a book, looking at a remedy, you cannot see or hear your own speech or see or hear your own, mind voice that's going on, and that's where you're not an unprejudiced observer, I suppose. And it's worth saying, of course, that all homeopaths need a homeopath and do have a homeopath for this reason, because they kind of get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the word you remember, that unprejudiced observers. I mean, it's two big words, but that's really it in a nutshell. Because when you're self-prescribing, you don't want to believe that you're vain, or I'm trying to think of things that you don't want to believe that you are yourself. Sensitive to problems in the past because you think you've accepted them and you think you're handling them as you should. But an unprejudiced observer, so somebody who doesn't have that influence of so we were talking about the unprejudiced observer. Now that is a fantastic term, unprejudiced observer. So as a professional homeopath, this is what we're doing for you when you are sitting with us, explaining your symptoms, your concerns, how you want to improve the quality of your life. Because when you self-prescribe, you have your own beliefs and a way of, perhaps, let's say you had a mental, emotional, I'll use the word problem, things that happened to you in the past, perhaps in a family dynamics, and you think that you've come to terms with it and that you are dealing with it. Now, so you don't want to yourself accept the fact that you still feel pretty miserable about it, but perhaps you think about it at night, or you suppressed it inside within you. Now, seeing a professional homeopath, we are not making a judgment whether you've dealt with it in a good way or whether you're still suffering, whether things were fair or unfair. We will not make any form of judgment on the situation. All we want to know is how you are feeling as a consequence of what happened. Because all of us react in different ways as a consequence of something. And so that's where we have no prejudice. We park our feelings on one side and we watch and we observe how you are reacting to what's happened to you. So it's even taking it very physically. Let's say you twist your ankle. There will be those who will be like, oh, why? How did this happen to me? Take it to that sort of thought. And there'll be those who will say, oh, that was silly, and just move on. And it's those two things. Now, an unprejudiced observer will just look at the reactions, whereas you yourself will probably not think about your mental and emotional association with the twisted ankle.
That's right. And just thinking about that, you've got the person that'll say, oh, it's nothing, go away. I'm fine, I can cope. Oh, I'll just hobble back here, and then you've got the person who'll need support and need the consolation and need the comfort. And all we're doing is watching it in order to put that information in to match it with a remedy. So it is really interesting. Let's talk about for a moment a little bit more about when people have to come off medication, because this is something that we help a lot of people with, isn't it?
Yes, correct. So a really good example would be the HRT drug. We have quite a lot of my clinic has got lovely ladies who say to me that they would like to come off the HRT, or they are off the HRT, or they're thinking about coming off the HRT drug, and they're very scared is the word they may use. And we all know, I mean, it's written clearly on the pamphlets of HRT medication, all the side effects, the possible side effects. And unfortunately, many of us do get the consequences of taking HRT. We do get the side effects. Mm-hmm. So, going back to, so how would you treat somebody like this? And we go back to that, giving that medication in homeopathic form. So this is a really good example with with the patient with HRT history taking it, and that they would come. Perhaps they're now having to go through cancer treatment, and they do want to come off it. So, I can think of a patient already. The first thing I did do in that particular case is I did give their HRT strength. I call it the strength because they all have slightly different in homeopathic form, to open the case and to start the case. Right. And then with them, because the HRT had been taken for a while, their own body's production of these hormones was, almost like dormant. I understand the reason why they went on it was because they were not producing enough according to the philosophy and principles of mainstream medication. So I understand that's why they went on it, because they were not producing enough. So there was already a reduced production. However, what you find is that it's almost like shut down, that the body simply doesn't produce it because it's been provided. Why do I need to do anything? The body says, and it goes into this sleep mode. So, in her prescribing, there was the HRT in homeopathic form, there was organ support, and then there was, a consideration on the symptoms that she was presenting.
Okay.
But there was quite a lot to do. That, as a self-prescriber, I do not think is something that would succeed as a self-prescriber.
But going forward with that, obviously as well, what we're doing is re-stimulating the organs to produce enough, estrogen and whatever the body is needing. And what will happen as a consequence of that is the symptoms will change slowly over a number of weeks and months. And so the prescription needs to change as you go through that. And as new things come up, as the energy changes into the different areas of symptoms, then the remedies need to change, obviously. All we're helping with, acting as a catalyst effectively, is helping the body react, re-stimulate, reset, and then continue, so that you don't need medications ongoing. Because that's what's so lovely about homeopathy, isn't it? It's not something that we say you're going to need this for 10 years or forever. We're not. We're stimulating the body to reset so that you don't need any medications at all.
I love that term, reset. Permission of copyright. It just completely encompasses what we're doing. We're resetting the body.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ekta. It's been quite fun, hasn't it?
It is. Yep. I love talking about homeopathy, and this is the part of homeopathy that people don't know as much about.
Exactly.
And it is fascinating what we can trigger in self-healing by getting the right remedies into you. The body's own self-healing capacity is amazing. So, and this just helps you get on that journey and reset you.
And we would love to answer your questions. So if you have particular questions, please do go to our Ask a Homeopath group or send us an email, and we are more than happy to discuss it in our podcast and other mediums that we can help you learn more about using homeopathy and answer the questions that many people are avoiding right now.
Very good.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Ekta, for joining me today for this conversation, answering your questions in homeopathy. It's just a pleasure to welcome the homeopaths and really to get in-depth conversations answering the questions that you need answers to. Now, next week, I'm going to be welcoming Anne Lovett. Anne is one of our homeopaths from Homeopathy 24/7, and she is going to be answering questions from her groups. Now, she is in the arthritis group and the baby group as well. So lots of different things we'll be talking about, including what is cure. Very, very interesting. What can you expect? How can homeopathy help? And what actually is it that we're asking it to do? So it's going to be a really good conversation, and I do hope that you can join us. See you then. I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.